Hi everyone, welcome to Spiro Paranormal Podcast. My name is Becky Green.
I'm Bret Yost.
And I'm John Bryan. And we got a couple of interesting topics for you tonight. First thing though, Spiro Paranormal has some exciting news. What news would that be, Becky?
We are getting a new podcast studio and it's going to be open for everyone to use as well, right?
That is correct.
You passed the test. Good job.
Thanks.
What we're going to be doing is we're actually teaming up with a media company. And so our podcast studio will become of a whole complex of internet, TV, podcasting. So it's going to be a great opportunity for the group.
Yeah.
A great, hopefully we can bring a lot to the table for the group that will be joining. So all of this is going to be changing, even though we've only been here for what, 6-7 months?
Yeah, about a year actually.
Yeah.
I think it's been close to
I
a
don't know
year.
if it's been a year.
I just remember, I want to say we did one in April last year.
Because I remember putting up these, it was cold.
Yeah, I remember we did one out there.
Yeah, that's when we first started.
Feel like
Maybe
in
April out there.
April.
Yeah.
You don't
But
know
in
where
here.
out there is, but we do.
Out
So
there.
just to be clear.
Anyways, and tonight we are doing something a little bit different. I know in the past, our podcast, we've used our black curtain, but we had this nice green screen up, and we've used it for a couple other things, but not for the group. So we thought tonight.
Bret and John's 80s podcast,
That's
by the
right.
way. Check it out.
And it's in commemoration of the best color there is, green.
That's right.
My last name, you know.
That's right. So yeah, tonight we're going to try the green screen, and if it works out, maybe in the new podcast studio we'll try more green screening.
Because we all know about that.
Because we have this great green screen, we never used it, so we'll use it tonight, see how it comes.
That's right. And we have a few special guests with us tonight as well. We've got Hank, Frank, Tank,
Fillmore.
and Eugene. I don't know why those two don't rhyme, but at the same time, yeah,
Because they're special.
But Hank's got this. He's the only one with a mullet. These other guys are jealous.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, before we've even started, we're off topic. So I think we should maybe dive into our topic tonight, guys. I don't know. What do you think?
That's
Probably a good
fine.
idea.
One thing I did want to mention is
Of course.
that we've had a little bit of a break from our last podcast for Spiro, and I just wanted to thank everybody for a great time at our Spiro party.
It was a lot of fun.
We had a lot of fun. We played a lot of games, ate some good food.
Dominated laser tag right here.
Hey, I did it too. One game, 30,000 points.
But anyhow,
I almost threw up eating horseradish, but that was cool.
Go to our Facebook page and you can see the footage of John and Becky's horseradish eating contest and how well John handled that, and then the wonderful jokes that followed.
Just so we're clear, I literally handled it like a boss. I had to brag.
John, not so much.
Whatever. I did my best.
He's pouting.
I just didn't swallow fast.
He is pouting. Okay, we're gonna just jump into the topic now because there's jokes here I'm not gonna touch. So, anyways, things that go bump in the night, right?
Yep.
Right.
Well, what kind of things would go bump in the night? I mean, we've investigated a lot of places. We've been seen a lot of items, and we've been told stories from people.
I think one of the topics about things that go bump in the night is what causes these things to happen, and a lot of times we find out that it's actually objects.
Right. And by these objects, they would have to have some kind of special meaning to the individual that may have owned them.
That's right.
Right. Oh, so John, I don't know. This kind of takes me back to really our first investigation
That's right.
when we started doing this.
One of the very, very first investigations we did on a private scale, because we did a couple of investigations for people, and then we did some historical ones. But our very first private investigation was now the infamous haunted demolition derby car.
Yes, that was cool because that was obviously my first time ever being part of it. We had just started the group, and sitting in an empty garage with a car and talking to, not necessarily the car, but whatever individual might be in there with it or what have you. But I guess before we get into our investigation, because that's really not the important part, it's more about what happened to the gentleman that
Right.
would own the car and actually competed with the car.
Exactly. I could give a quick rundown of what the history was. These gentlemen got a new car they were demolition derby guys, and they got a new car for the season. And as they were working on the car, this mist came out of the car, began to encircle it, and freaked them out, and they ran out of the garage. Also, the car would never run right during its events. It would shut off for no reason, and then wouldn't come back on for quite a while. And obviously people would say, well, isn't that what a lot of older cars do? But it wasn't normal, because they fixed everything. These were very good mechanics. The car shouldn't be doing that.
Right.
And they swapped everything out, and it kept on doing it. And so, and also the engine block, as it was out of the car, was basically destroyed. The rods were pushed up. The pistons and the rods were pushed up through the engine while it was on the ground, which was a mystery in itself.
Bizarre.
It was
Yeah.
bizarre. And so there was all these things. And of course, then we went back and we did the history on the car, did some investigating, and an incredibly strange story was something had happened with this car. So we came to believe that maybe something was haunting it.
Yeah, that was a bizarre set of circumstances. It harkens to the old classic written by Stephen King, Christine.
Exactly.
You talk about the car that was possessed and kind of had a mind of its own.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to let you expound a little bit more on that, because I honestly can't remember all the details.
Well, I'll just, if you want to read a little bit about the
History.
story, you can actually,
Here it is.
you can read the story in my book, Ghosts of Pocatello.
I set him up for that, so
Yeah.
he could plug his book.
The haunted demolition derby car, and you can read it. But just in a nutshell, quickly, as we investigated the car had come out of Wyoming, and for whatever reason, the people had driven it all the way to Pocatello and taken it to the junkyard specifically to be destroyed. Now, we don't know exactly why they made that long trip, but they did. They came all the way to Pocatello from Wyoming and specifically wanted it to be destroyed. The owner of the junkyard was a friend of these guys, and he said, hey, I got this perfect car for you to be a demolition derby car. They got it. It didn't work. And later on, when they tried to contact the original owner to ask, hey, is there something strange about this car? The owner, finding out the car had not been destroyed, threatened to sue if the car was not destroyed within a week.
So
They were
weird.
very, very upset and wouldn't talk to him. So finally, the car was destroyed. It was crushed, and but they saved a bumper. And then on our haunted history tour, as people went up to see the bumper that was left of the demolition derby car, and they were taking pictures of it, several of the people on our tours got missed in their pictures.
Yeah.
So, did the spirit live on? We don't know, but there definitely was evidence for that.
It was attached to the car, and that was a part of the car, so why?
And you know, obviously we're talking about a car here, but I think the more, when you talk about inanimate objects, I think more people associate that with like personal items such as dolls or clothing, those types of things. What other inanimate objects have we run across in our investigations?
Well, I think notably for us would be, we've had several investigations of buildings with pianos that play in the middle of the night.
Very true.
You know, we had that old courthouse in Rigby, Hender's Hotel out in Soda Springs, and then recently our investigation at a school here in town. And the stories are the pianos playing just randomly during the night. And what is, I don't know what the strange fascination is with the paranormal attaching itself to like a musical instrument, but at the same time, a piano is a valued possession, especially in a home.
Yeah.
Because that's like the family's piano, and of course you grew up, of course you know how to play the piano really well. My mom, sister, and I all learned how to play the piano when we had one growing up. So there's a lot of memories and stuff that would be associated with a piano. So I think probably theoretically these ones that have been in schools that we've investigated basically probably were in a home at one time and got donated to the school district after somebody may have passed on,
Right.
you know, but you know, unfortunately it never played for us at any of those locations.
Hey, I experienced it. When I went,
Oh yeah. You
yeah. Well, when I went to school at one of the places, it was in a musical. I had the opportunity, along with a few others, to.
did. How did I not mention Pokey Heist?
Yeah, it's Pokey High. Yeah, I got the opportunity to hear. I mean, it was just a few notes, but it was definitely the piano, and you watched the keys go down. It was really cool. But I mean, I thought it was cool. The other people turned around and ran. But, you know, here we are.
Future paranormal investigator, right
That's
there.
right.
Yeah,
She was
exactly.
in training.
I've been
She didn't
training
even
for
know
this
it.
my whole life.
And she didn't even know it.
Well, and I think that it's the same thing in that we believe, at least in what my experience has been, is that most paranormal activity, when you think about these entities or whatever they are, they're just regular people trying to experience what they were used to or what they loved or those types of things. So it makes sense that, pianos would play because I'm sure a lot of people were drawn to their music and
Right.
love
Yeah,
playing
absolutely.
those things.
Music is very healing, and it can be. So why not?
Exactly. So I mean, we've had so many objects. For example, chairs.
Right.
Chairs would be another one that comes to mind where it was in the above the
Office.
the office bar.
Office bar and grill.
Oh yes,
There was a chair in there where it just seemed like all the activity was going around that chair. Why was that chair special? I'm not sure,
Yeah.
but maybe it had something to do with, what was that place in the past?
Right.
What did that chair symbolize? Maybe only the important person sat there or something.
Yeah. For
Obviously
sure.
I'm speculating, but
Yeah. Well, we never know. You never know for sure why anything is haunted. You can just speculate and go off of history, and but you definitely always wonder.
exactly. Then you hear the stories too of like the rocking chairs that are mysteriously moving.
Yeah.
Well, it's not even a rocking chair, but one of my favorites still for us is Ender's Hotel again. Even though it was off camera and it sounded, and in the dark, you hear this chair being dragged across the floor randomly.
yeah.
None of us were even down there. We just left the camera down there. And you just hear this of the chair being dragged across the floor. And I don't even think, even while we were investigating, we even saw a chair, that was in one spot earlier when we were down there, and then when we went to another spot,
Yeah.
came back, there were no chairs moved from where we were either.
Yeah.
No.
So, I mean, that's one of my favorite ones. It's one of those ones you can't explain, but yet
Because we definitely have the sound, and it's unmistakable what it is.
it is. Yeah, if you ever were in elementary school and you dragged like your chair across the floor in those schools, it was that sound, that squeak of going across the linoleum floor like that.
I just get chills thinking about it because I hate that noise.
Yeah, could be worse.
Could be.
Exactly. And what kind of takes me to as we're talking about these ideas kind of in my head, and because we're talking about why would they want, so what you think about stories about like hidden treasure.
Right.
Always when you hear, oh yeah, there's this hidden treasure up in the mountains, but it's guarded by all these spirits.
They're always,
They're cursed.
the common theme in the movies is they're cursed.
Yes, they're cursed.
And Expedition Unknown. They're cursed.
They're always cursed. Aztec.
Josh has to have something to go with,
Right.
Nothing
Everything.
against Josh.
Everything from the lost treasure of Moctezuma that supposedly is in these caves, and when the Spanish came and found it, the Indians killed them, threw their bodies in there, and now the spirits of those Spanish conquistadors are guarding that treasure. To you can even throw Tutankhamun in there.
Right, go to the Egyptian. I mean, that dates back to forever ago, and of course, how many movies have been made about the curse of the treasure, and you disturb the treasure, the mummy comes to get you.
Yeah.
I wonder.
So, where they get
Indiana
sick and the
Jones.
locusts. Indiana Jones, no, he always went
What?
places with permission.
Right.
And he never had bad guys following him anywhere.
And yeah, and they were never cursed.
It was very academic.
He was, exactly.
Very academic. But I mean, that kind of brings up the question is, and I don't think we're going to be able to answer. I'm just throwing it out there. You know, do elements like gold and, you know, because you always hear that like water can cause hauntings, and hauntings increase where there's a lot of
Limestone.
and there's a lot of, you know, different things that cause these things.
What do
know,
you think? Comment below.
Yeah, comment below. I mean, I don't know if there's a way to test these theories. We'd have to think long and hard about it. But, you know, does gold attract spirits? Is there some type of a...
It's like, I think of it like just like a possession, like a piano.
Yeah.
You know, people love their pianos. Well, there's people that love their gold.
Right. Well, you think about the
What
gold
they-
brushes.
Yeah, why wouldn't they attach themselves to what they valued as their possession?
Right.
You know? So I can see the logic in it. Again, it's one of those hard things you can't really necessarily prove, but there's enough stories and
Yeah,
you know background that would lead you to believe that that's definitely what it could be.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so, you know, because you take that whole elemental idea, and then, you know, things as basic as like mirrors. You know,
Oh, my
because
goodness.
what is mirrors? Just silica, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, because how many experiences have we had with mirrors?
We've had a
Far
few.
too many.
Unfortunately. Well, and all the...
Now we can never have enough of experiences.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Sure.
Becky.
It's okay. When you think about, like, the hauntings or the legends about mirrors anyway, like Bloody Mary, or isn't it Candyman or something?
Candyman's the movies, but yeah.
Right,
I don't
but,
remember
you know-
if it is the mirror or not.
Bloody Mary, definitely.
Bloody Mary,
Bloody Mary is the big
definitely in the
legend.
mirror.
Right.
So, I mean, where do those legends come from? You know what I mean? Like, there has to
Right.
be something somewhere along the line that happened with mirrors.
Right. Well, then, you know that is the big theory. Are mirrors a
There's
portal?
the portal. Yeah.
A great example for mirrors. You know, when I think of ones we've come across is the Gate City Boxing Club here. I mean,
Right.
Exactly.
my gosh, you know, we've been there multiple times, John, and every time we've always had experiences around those
Yes. Credible, and they have mirrors all over the place.
mirrors. Yep.
But and one of our ideas when we were there was the mirror some type of a portal? Because we had a lot of activity around them, and then didn't we saw lights in them and those types of things, didn't we?
Yeah, we had that strange red light that kept
Yeah.
turning up that we could never
We couldn't
figure out where it
figure
came
out where
from.
it came from.
And that's the thing about that club is that every time we've been there, we've always had we've had experiences of some sort, but they've always been different.
Yeah. Never
you
the
know?
same.
And like with a portal, that is the consensus or theory about
Yeah.
portals is
Well, because
spirits come
remember
and go.
we started to like look into the mirror and talk into the mirror, and then as soon as we did that, activity really increased.
Mhm.
Right.
And so that was one of the reasons
We
why we
did-
thought.
Yeah, we got K2 hits by the mirror,
Mm-hmm.
and then when we backed up behind those heavy bags, and then those bags started moving and squeak, you know, you could hear the squeaking, and I mean, we stirred something up through those mirrors.
Yeah.
It's just what we don't know, but that's I don't. You know, as far as all the buildings we've come across with the mirrors, that's been my favorite one with any of our experiences that we've had.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And yeah, and throughout culture and, you know, stories and those, you could even say, you know, look at Superman and the whole Phantom Zone. I mean, where did those ideas come from where somebody can be trapped? Because that's basically what the Phantom Zone was.
General Zod,
General
Zod,
Zod,
Marcel going, we'll get you,
Yeah.
Jor-El, we'll get you, son.
Because where is the
We're talking
basis?
Superman 2.
Superman 2. And people are like, well, why are you talking Superman 2?
Because we're old.
But those ideas of people being trapped in glass these come from old ideas about mirrors.
Mhm.
That there's some type of a extra dimension or a plane in there, and that people can get trapped, or spirits.
Right.
And you know, what type of validity is?
Well, and yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but going off of what you said, I believe I read or watched something somewhere where, like, witches, or that like those kind of things. Like they would curse mirrors and give them, like trap their stuff in the mirror. But I don't know how true that is. But
vampires couldn't be seen in mirrors because
Right.
they didn't have souls.
right,
True.
I just don't like mirrors in the dark.
Jumps at her own reflection.
Well, have you seen me? Just kidding. I'm kidding.
How am I insulted at you and making fun of yourself there? That's what I don't get. But anyways, yeah. But I know there's so many things we could, talk about. I don't know, man. We can talk about like clothing. Or when we investigated the Paris, the lady had experiences with like the dress moving.
Yeah, her clothes were downstairs and she was attached to them. Yeah.
I mean,
In the Amerigo warehouse, the lady was very attached. Attached.
not a touch.
Not attached, attached.
That was a different building.
She was very attached to the items that were up in the
area.
steps, which included clothing.
Right.
It was furniture, clothing. It was all of those.
She didn't like us touching them.
No.
Which was interesting too.
So.
I mean, it's just interesting. It's one of those theories that I don't know that there's ever going to be a full, proven, why it happens. But in our experiences, you watch the shows on TV, there's always objects that seem to have some sort of paranormal activity around them. And if this is a remnant of someone's soul, or if it just meant that much to someone that, whether it's residual or full-on activity around an object, to me it all makes sense that part of you would stick with something that meant something a lot to you.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, and if you're just going about your business,
Right.
in the other realm, like, why wouldn't you try to do the things that you did when you were alive?
Right, exactly.
Well, it might even be more simpler than that. I mean, there's a reason why they stayed.
Right.
Because we kind of had this idea that ghosts or spirits are here by free choice.
Right.
That they had the opportunity to cross over, and eventually they will.
Right.
But that for whatever reason, something kept them here. They made a choice to stay.
Well, just like, in our experience too, a spirit attaches themselves to a family, a person in the household. Why would it not be the same for an inanimate object that meant something to someone?
Right.
Exactly.
For sure.
But hey, great conversation, and I think this was pretty interesting podcast. We started out with some news about the group, talking about our Christmas party, and it wasn't really a Christmas party.
This time we started out of control and brought it back to the topic, and we're gonna wrap it up. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm proud of us.
Great
It's so
podcast,
fun,
and we need to do more of these. Like I said, we're so excited to move into our new studio and to see what type of opportunities that brings the group. So
Absolutely.
very excited. So
It'll be good.
excellent.
Well, as always, thanks again for watching, and make sure you follow us at spiro-paranormal.com.
That's right. And you can watch our videos on Facebook and YouTube. We are expanding out, so if you want to check out John and Bret's Lost in the 80s, not a paranormal podcast.
But it's definitely abnormal.
It's very abnormal, talking all about the 80s and different topics. So if that interests you, you can check that out. Just wanted to throw that out there.
You're making the face at her.
Because I wasn't a...
You weren't even a twinkle in your dad's eye.
I was...
Well, maybe it might have been
89.
maybe in 89, but yeah.
Were you born in the 80s or?
I was born in October of 89, so...
Okay, we can
She
count.
got a little,
Yeah, I was an 80s baby.
she got a little taste of the 80s.
4 months.
Little tiny.
Little teeny tiny taste.
But I was there.
She was there. She was in the 1980s.
Okay, sorry.
No, that's all right.
Bringing it back.
So
That's right.
thanks again. Great night, and check us out on the next podcast. So everybody have a scary night.